Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about how I approach painting watercolor landscapes. When you have something that you want to paint, naturally you need to figure out what steps you're going to take and what the correct order is for those steps. This is especially true with watercolor. Since it's a transparent medium, we need to be careful and deliberate about how we paint because we can't always relighten an area if we make it too dark. Although I do want to note that you can always use gouache, or you can try lifting paint with a clean damp brush if you accidentally make an area too dark. While I don't think that there is a hard and fast rule for the correct order of operations for painting watercolor, there are some guidelines that I use for my landscapes that work well for me. In general, I paint things that are lighter in value and farthest away first, and I gradually work my way toward things that are darker in value and closer to the viewer. Let's look at an example. This is the finished painting that I'm going to walk through today. First, I always start with the sky because it sets the tone for the lighting in the scene. If my sky is going to be darker than whatever is on the horizon, I will use masking fluid to cover up the horizon while I'm working on the sky. After the sky, I will turn my attention to whatever is on the horizon. It could be mountains, trees, bodies of water, hills, or grass. You can see that I painted the distant lake first because it's lighter than the mountains, and I want to work from light to dark. Now I'm turning my attention to the mountains that are farthest away. Before I paint whatever the most distant items are, I will consider whether I need to mask anything else that's in the mid or foreground. I put masking fluid on the house and trees on the left side of the painting for this reason. I'm working on the mountains one at a time, switching sides so that one mountain can dry while I work on the next mountain. As I come closer to the viewer, my mountains are becoming darker in value and more gray/green as opposed to blue. In general, things that are in the distance are lighter in value and cooler in temperature, while things that are closer are darker and warmer. For example, you can see that I'm painting individual trees that are a shade of green on the left here. There are the same kind of trees on all of these mountains, but they're not defined or individually visible when they're farther away, and they're also not green when they're farther away. They're gray or blue. But you'll notice that this green on the left is still a much more blue-green color than some of the more vibrant yellow greens that I'll be using in the foreground. So it's kind of like a gradient as you work forward. Now it's time to work on the foreground. Much like the background, I've painted the water first because it's very light. Then I'm going to start with the lightest value area of grass. Next, it's time to paint this middle value grass area. If I had painted this vibrant green area first and then tried to paint the light water that's behind it and the light grass in front of it, I might have accidentally ended up muddying those two areas. This middle value green is a darker and more powerful color, and when you're working wet on wet, the borders can bleed. So that's why it's best to start with lighter value areas. The same is true for this grass in front of the painting. It's going to be more vibrant than the light grass behind it, so I want to paint it after that light grass. Also, because it's an area that's closest to the viewer, it's going to have a lot of details, so I'm keeping that in mind to keep the perspective of the scene balanced. Then I'm going to remove the masking fluid and work on the house and nearby trees, working from lightest to darkest in value. And that's how I approach this painting. Let me know what you think and if this is different from your process or if you have any tips and tricks on this topic. Happy painting and thanks for watching.